Good evening. This is DN News. On August 26, 2026, Nepal was struck by one of the most sudden and destructive flash floods in recent history. Entire villages were swept away, hydropower stations were destroyed, and riverbanks collapsed within minutes. Tonight, we take you through the exact chain of events, step by step, to understand how this disaster began high in the Himalayas and how it turned into a catastrophic flood downstream. 1. The sudden ice and rock collapse around midnight to 2 a.m. High in the Himalayas, near the Nepal-Tibet border, a massive slab of glacier ice and rock suddenly broke off from a steep mountain slope, roughly 5,200 meters above sea level. Early that morning, seismic sensors detected what looked like an earthquake. But experts later confirmed it wasn't tectonic activity at all. It was the sheer force of the glacier collapsing. Millions of cubic meters of ice, rock, and debris plunged into the narrow Lend Kola Valley, releasing tremendous energy as it fell. The impact shattered ice, melted sections instantly, and transformed the collapse into a roaring avalanche of mud, water, and rock racing downhill. 2. How the debris blocked the river 3 o'clock. As the avalanche reached the valley floor, it slammed into the river channel with overwhelming force. The collision created a massive pile of debris, boulders, ice chunks, and thick mud, which quickly clogged the Lend Kola River. In a matter of minutes, the river was no longer flowing freely. The debris formed a natural dam, trapping water behind it. Upstream, water continued pouring in, but now it had nowhere to escape. The valley began filling like a blocked drain. 3. Pressure builds behind the natural dam 4 o'clock. Water levels rose rapidly behind the blockage. Hydrological stations downstream recorded levels climbing up to 9 meters in just 30 minutes, an extraordinary surge. The natural dam, made only of loose rock and ice, strained under the pressure. Every passing minute increased the weight pushing against it. The structure was unstable, fragile, and never meant to hold back such a massive volume of water. 4. The sudden dam failure 5 o'clock. Eventually, the dam could no longer withstand the force. It burst suddenly and violently. All the trapped water exploded downstream in a single, devastating wave. This wasn't just water. It was a thick, destructive torrent carrying boulders, uprooted trees, shattered ice, and mud. The release tore through the valley, carving new paths, sweeping away everything in its way, and accelerating as it moved into wider river channels. 5. The flood surges downstream 5 o'clock 6:30. The flood raced down the Boat Koshi River and into the Trishulai system. Entire settlements like Timur and Siabrubasi were devastated within moments. Bridges collapsed under the force of the water. Roads were ripped apart. Hydropower plants were destroyed, leaving communities without electricity. Communication towers were swept away, cutting off contact with the outside world. The rivers became violent corridors of destruction, carrying massive rocks and debris at terrifying speed. 6. Why the damage was so extreme 6:37:30. What made this disaster even more shocking was the complete lack of warning. There was no rainfall that day. Skies were clear. People downstream had no reason to expect danger because the event began high in the mountains, far from populated areas. Experts say rising temperatures and rapid glacier melt have made Himalayan ice increasingly unstable. The mountains are changing, weakened by years of warming, making collapses like this more likely even without storms. 7. Investigations continue 7:38 o'clock. Teams from ISAMOD, USCS, and Nepalese agencies continue to analyze satellite images and seismic data to reconstruct the exact sequence of events. But the cause is clear. A massive ice rock collapse triggered a temporary dam, the dam burst, and a catastrophic flood surged downstream, leaving devastation across multiple river valleys. These are the areas that were severely affected Boat Koshi flood damage. Swept away roads and riverbanks Friendship Bridge, collapsed bridge structure Nepal Valleys, wide areal of flooded terrain Boat Koshi region, mudflow and landslide aftermath Trishulai River, washed out infrastructure and debris. This is DN News, bringing you clarity behind the chaos. Stay tuned for more updates and expert analysis.